Chapter 1. The Strange Invitation. Lily was an adventurous and curious young girl who loved exploring the world around her. One day, as she was walking home from school, she noticed a strange envelope sticking out of her mailbox. It was addressed to her in a handwriting she didn't recognize. Curiosity piqued, Lily opened the envelope to find a mysterious invitation. It read, "Dear Lily, I invite you to visit the abandoned house on the edge of town. Come alone and come tonight. Yours truly, a friend." Lily was unsure what to make of the invitation. She had heard rumors about the abandoned house, that it was haunted or cursed in some way, but she couldn't shake her curiosity. Who was this friend who had invited her? And what was waiting for her at the abandoned house? After much hesitation, Lily decided to accept the invitation. She waited until nightfall and set out towards the edge of town, her heart pounding with excitement and fear. As she approached the abandoned house, she couldn't help but feel a sense of foreboding. The house was old and decrepit, its windows boarded up and its roof caved in. The wind howled through the trees, rustling the overgrown grass and stirring up a cloud of dust. Despite her fear, Lily pressed on. She pushed open the creaky front door and stepped inside. The air was thick with the scent of mildew and decay. The floorboards creaked under her feet as she explored the dark and shadowy rooms. As she wandered deeper into the house, Lily began to notice strange things happening around her. Doors creaked open and shut on their own. Shadows seemed to move in the corners of her vision, and she could swear she heard whispers and footsteps from somewhere deep within the house. Despite her growing unease, Lily continued to explore the abandoned house, determined to uncover its secrets. Little did she know she was about to embark on a journey that would change her life forever. Chapter 2. Exploring the House. Lily continued to explore the abandoned house, her heart pounding with fear and excitement. As she made her way through the dark and shadowy rooms, she heard strange noises and felt a sense of unease. Just when she thought she couldn't take it anymore, she heard a friendly voice calling out to her from the top of the stairs. "Hello there! Who's wandering around my old house?" Lily cautiously made her way up the stairs, where she found a friendly but eccentric old man named Mr. Jenkins. Mr. Jenkins was delighted to have a visitor and welcomed Lily into his home. He told her all about the history of the abandoned house, including the tragic events that led to its abandonment. As Lily listened to Mr. Jenkins' stories, she began to feel a sense of intrigue and excitement. She was determined to uncover the truth about the abandoned house, and she knew that Mr. Jenkins could help her. Together, they continued to explore the dark and creepy rooms of the abandoned house. Mr. Jenkins showed her secret passageways and hidden rooms, each with its history and secrets. Lily was fascinated by everything she saw and heard, and she couldn't wait to uncover more. As they explored, Lily and Mr. Jenkins heard strange noises and felt a sense of foreboding. They began to suspect that something or someone was watching them, lurking in the shadows and waiting to pounce. Despite the danger, Lily and Mr. Jenkins pressed on. They continued to explore the abandoned house, determined to uncover the truth about its past and its secrets. Little did they know they were about to discover something that would change their lives forever. Chapter 3. A Startling Discovery. As Lily and Mr. Jenkins explored the abandoned house, they came across a locked room. Mr. Jenkins explained that he had never been able to open it, despite his best efforts. Lily was intrigued by the locked room and determined to uncover its secrets. She searched the house for a key and finally found one hidden in a dusty corner of the attic. With trembling hands, Lily inserted the key into the lock and turned it. The door creaked open, revealing a room filled with dust and cobwebs. As Lily and Mr. Jenkins entered the room, they noticed a large chest sitting in the center of the room. It was covered in dust and cobwebs, but otherwise seemed to be in good condition. Lily couldn't resist the temptation to open the chest and see what was inside. As she lifted the lid, her heart skipped a beat. Inside the chest was a pile of old papers and books, each one filled with strange symbols and ancient writing. Lily and Mr. Jenkins pored over the books and papers, trying to decipher their meaning. As they studied the books and papers, they began to realize that they had stumbled upon something extraordinary. The books and papers appeared to be a map to a hidden treasure, hidden somewhere within the walls of the abandoned house. Lily and Mr. Jenkins were thrilled by the discovery and determined to find the treasure, but they knew they had to be careful. There were likely others who were also searching for the treasure, and they would stop at nothing to get their hands on it. With a newfound sense of purpose, Lily and Mr. Jenkins set out to search the abandoned house for the hidden treasure. Little did they know, they were about to uncover a secret that would change their lives forever. Chapter 4: The Search for the Treasure. Lily and Mr. Jenkins searched the abandoned house from top to bottom, looking for any clues that might lead them to the hidden treasure. They searched the walls, the floors, and even the ceiling, but found nothing. Just when they were about to give up, Lily noticed a strange symbol etched into the corner of one of the walls. She pointed it out to Mr. Jenkins, who recognized it as one of the symbols from the books and papers they had found in the chest. Excited by the discovery, Lily and Mr. Jenkins examined the wall more closely. They found that the symbol was etched into a small panel that could be pushed aside, revealing a hidden passageway. Without hesitation, Lily and Mr. Jenkins entered the passageway and began to explore. The air was musty and stale, and the walls were covered in cobwebs and dust, but they pressed on, determined to find the treasure. As they walked through the passageway, Lily and Mr. Jenkins heard strange noises and felt a sense of unease. They knew that they were getting closer to the treasure, but they also knew that they were not alone. Suddenly, they heard footsteps approaching from the other end of the passageway. They froze, unsure of what to do, but before they could react, a figure emerged from the darkness. It was a man, dressed in all black and wearing a mask. He brandished a knife and demanded to know what Lily and Mr. Jenkins were doing in the passageway. Lily and Mr. Jenkins were terrified, but they stood their ground. They explained that they were searching for the hidden treasure and had no intention of causing any harm. The man seemed to soften at their explanation. He lowered his knife and removed his mask, revealing a kind face beneath. "I'm sorry," he said. "I thought you were someone else. My name is James, and I've been searching for the treasure for years. Maybe we can help each other." Lily and Mr. Jenkins were wary, but they agreed to work together. They knew that they needed all the help they could get if they were going to find the hidden treasure and uncover the secrets of the abandoned house. Chapter 5: A Dangerous Partnership. Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James continued through the passageway, searching for the hidden treasure. James explained that he had been searching for it for years, but had never been able to find it. He hoped that Lily and Mr. Jenkins could help him finally uncover its location. As they walked, James shared his knowledge of the abandoned house with Lily and Mr. Jenkins. He revealed that the house had once belonged to a wealthy merchant who had made his fortune through less than honest means. It was rumoured that he had hidden his treasure somewhere within the walls of the house before disappearing without a trace. The trio eventually came to a dead end in the passageway. They searched high and low, but could not find any clues that would lead them to the treasure. Frustrated and tired, they decided to take a break and rest. As they sat in the darkness, James began to reveal more about himself. He explained that he had become obsessed with finding the treasure and had stopped at nothing to uncover its location. He had even resorted to stealing and lying to get what he wanted. Lily and Mr. Jenkins were uneasy with James' confession. They had always believed in doing the right thing, no matter the cost, but they knew that they needed James' help if they were going to find the treasure. Suddenly, they heard a noise coming from the other end of the passageway. James quickly extinguished the lantern, plunging them into darkness. They held their breath as they listened to the footsteps getting closer and closer. Just when they thought they were going to be caught, the footsteps stopped. They heard a muffled voice muttering something incoherent before the sound of footsteps retreated into the distance. Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James breathed a sigh of relief. They knew that they had narrowly escaped being caught by whoever had made the noise. but they also knew that they had to be more careful in the future. Determined to continue their search for the treasure, the trio relit the lantern and set off down the passageway once again, but they couldn't shake the feeling that danger was lurking around every corner. Chapter 6. The Hidden Room. Lily, Mr. Jenkins and James continued their search for the treasure, keeping a watchful eye out for any signs of danger. As they explored further into the passageway, they discovered a hidden door that appeared to lead to a secret room. With James leading the way, they cautiously entered the room. It was musty and dark, but they could make out the outlines of old furniture and cobweb-covered boxes. They began to search the room for any clues that might lead them to the treasure. After a thorough search, Mr. Jenkins noticed something unusual about the fireplace. There was a small lever hidden behind one of the bricks. When he pulled it, the wall beside the fireplace opened up to reveal a hidden chamber.
Excited by the discovery, the trio rushed into the chamber. Inside, they found a small chest. James' heart raced as he recognized it as the same chest that had been depicted in his family's stories for generations.
Lily and Mr. Jenkins watched in awe as James opened the chest. Inside, they found a collection of rare coins, jewelry, and other treasures. They had finally found the treasure that James had been searching for all these years. But their celebration was cut short when they heard footsteps approaching. This time, the footsteps were getting closer and closer. Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James quickly closed the chest and retreated into the hidden room. They listened in silence as the footsteps stopped outside the door to the hidden room. They heard someone fumbling with the doorknob, trying to force it open. Just when they thought they were going to be caught, they heard a loud crash and the footsteps retreated back down the passageway. With their hearts pounding, the trio realized that they were not alone in the abandoned house. They knew that they had to be even more careful as they made their way back to the outside world with the treasure in hand. Chapter 7. The Escape. Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James quickly gathered the treasure and made their way back through the passageway. They moved as quickly as they could, knowing that they had to get out of the abandoned house before whoever had been following them caught up. As they reached the entrance to the passageway, they heard footsteps coming from the other end. James quickly blew out the lantern, plunging them into darkness once again. They could hear the footsteps getting closer and closer. Without hesitation, Lily and Mr. Jenkins pushed on the door, opening it just enough for them to slip through. James followed closely behind, clutching the treasure chest tightly to his chest. As they stepped out of the abandoned house, they saw a figure lurking in the shadows. They could see that it was a man, wearing a dark cloak and a wide-brimmed hat. He approached them, slowly, his eyes fixed on the treasure chest. "Hand over the treasure," he growled, brandishing a knife. Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James knew that they had no choice but to comply. They handed over the treasure chest to the man, who took it and disappeared into the night. Defeated, the trio made their way back to their homes. They were disappointed that their adventure had ended so abruptly and that they had lost the treasure that they had worked so hard to find. But as they sat in Lily's living room, recounting their adventure, they realized that they had gained something more valuable than any treasure, a newfound friendship. They knew that they would always look back on their adventure with fondness, even if they had come up empty-handed in the end. Chapter 8. The Mysterious Stranger. Days turned into weeks, and the memory of the abandoned house began to fade. But Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James could not shake the feeling that there was still something they had not uncovered. One day, as they walked home from school, they saw a figure in the distance. It was the man who had stolen their treasure. He was walking in the opposite direction, but Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James could see that he was carrying the treasure chest. Without thinking, James ran after the man. Lily and Mr. Jenkins followed closely behind. They chased the man through the streets, weaving in and out of alleyways and through crowded marketplaces. Finally, they caught up to him. James demanded to know why he had taken their treasure. The man looked at them with a strange expression on his face. "I took the treasure to protect it," he said. "There are forces at work in this town that would stop at nothing to get their hands on it." Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James were confused. They had never heard of any such forces. The man went on to explain that the treasure had been stolen from a wealthy family centuries ago. The family had been cursed, and the treasure was the only thing that could break the curse. Over the years, many people had tried to find the treasure, but they had all been thwarted by the family's enemies. The man handed the treasure chest back to James. "Take it," he said. "Keep it safe, and whatever you do, don't let anyone else know that you have it." With that, the man disappeared into the shadows. Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James were stunned. They had stumbled upon a secret that was centuries old. They knew that they had to keep the treasure safe, no matter what, and they also knew that they had a new ally in the mysterious stranger. Chapter 9. The Curse. Mr. Jenkins and James had kept the treasure hidden for weeks. They were afraid that someone would try to take it from them now that they knew its true value. But one day, Lily's little brother found the treasure chest in her closet. He was playing with the key, and before Lily could stop him, he had opened the chest. Suddenly, there was a bright flash of light. Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James shielded their eyes. When the light faded, they saw that there was something new inside the chest, a piece of paper covered in strange symbols. They took the paper to a local historian, who told them that it was a map of the family's hidden tomb. The historian warned them that the tomb was cursed, and that anyone who disturbed it would suffer terrible consequences. But Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James were determined to break the curse and return the treasure to its rightful owners. They decided to go to the tomb and see for themselves. They followed the map deep into the woods until they came to a hidden clearing. In the center of the clearing was a large stone tomb covered in moss and vines. Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James hesitated for a moment. They knew that they were risking their lives by entering the tomb, but they also knew that they had come too far to turn back now. They pushed open the heavy stone door and stepped inside. The air was damp and musty, and the only light came from the flickering flames of their torches. Suddenly, there was a loud rumbling noise. The walls of the tomb began to shake, and Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James realized that they had made a terrible mistake. They had disturbed the tomb, and now they would suffer the consequences. They ran for the exit, but the door had been sealed shut. They were trapped, and there was no way out. The curse of the tomb had claimed them, and they knew that they would never leave alive. Chapter 10. Breaking the Curse. Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James were trapped inside the cursed tomb. The walls were shaking, and the air was thick with dust. They knew that they had disturbed something that should never have been disturbed. But then Lily remembered something that the historian had said. The curse could only be broken by the family's true heirs. Lily realized that they were the only ones who could break the curse and restore the treasure to its rightful owners. She shared her idea with Mr. Jenkins and James, and they began to search for a way to break the curse. As they explored the tomb, they noticed something strange. The walls were covered in carvings and symbols that seemed to be related to the curse. Lily remembered the piece of paper they had found in the treasure chest, and she realized that the symbols on the paper were the same as the ones on the walls. With James's help, Lily deciphered the symbols. They revealed that the curse could only be broken by returning the treasure to its rightful place and reciting a certain incantation. They also discovered a hidden passage that led to a small chamber at the heart of the tomb. In the chamber, they found a pedestal on which the treasure was meant to be placed. With Mr. Jenkins standing guard, Lily and James carefully placed the treasure on the pedestal. They then recited the incantation, and a bright light filled the chamber. When the light faded, they saw that the tomb had changed. The walls were no longer shaking, and the air was clear. The curse had been broken. Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James made their way out of the tomb, carrying the treasure with them. They knew that they had accomplished something great, and that they had righted a centuries-old wrong. As they emerged into the sunlight, they saw the mysterious stranger waiting for them. He congratulated them on their bravery and handed them a small box. "This is a gift from the family," he said. "They wanted to thank you for breaking the curse and returning the treasure. You have earned their gratitude and their respect." Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James opened the box to find a set of 3 golden keys. They knew that these keys were a symbol of their success and that they would always be treasured. Chapter 11. The Final Twist. Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James had broken the curse and retrieved the treasure, but there was still one more mystery to solve. As they examined the golden keys they had received, they noticed something strange. Each key had a different symbol engraved: a moon, a sun, and a star. Lily realized that the symbols corresponded to the 3 portraits they had seen in the abandoned house: the woman with the moon-shaped birthmark, the man with the sun-shaped birthmark, and the child with the star-shaped birthmark. They decided to investigate further, and they returned to the abandoned house. As they entered the study, they noticed that the portraits were no longer on the wall. Instead, there was a message written in their place: "The truth lies beyond the hidden door." Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James searched the room, looking for any sign of a hidden door. They eventually found a loose brick in the fireplace, which revealed a small compartment. Inside the compartment, they found a note written by the woman in the moon portrait. It revealed that she and the man with the sun birthmark were siblings, and that they had hidden a secret room in the house. The note also revealed that the child with the star birthmark was not their child, but a distant relative who they had taken in as their own. Excited by this discovery, Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James began searching for the hidden room. After much searching, they found a panel in the wall that opened up to reveal a hidden staircase. They descended the stairs, and at the bottom they found a small room filled with treasure. But this treasure was different from the treasure they had found in the tomb. This treasure was personal, filled with family heirlooms and mementos. As they explored the room, they found a final note. It revealed that the woman in the moon portrait had always regretted her decision to hide the room and that she wanted her family's story to be told. Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James emerged from the hidden room, carrying the family's treasures with them. They knew that they had solved the mystery of the abandoned house and that they had uncovered a story that deserved to be told. As they left the house for the final time, they felt a sense of satisfaction and closure. They knew that they had accomplished something great and that they had honored the memory of the family who had lived there so many years ago. Chapter 12. A New Beginning. Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James returned to town with the family's treasures and the knowledge of their story. They decided to meet with the town historian, Mrs. Thompson, to share their findings. Mrs. Thompson was thrilled to hear about the hidden room and the family's story. She encouraged Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James to publish their findings in a local history book, which would preserve the story for future generations. Excited by the prospect of sharing their discovery with others, Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James began to work on the book. They spent hours poring over the family's treasures and researching the history of the town. They even reached out to distant relatives of the family who were eager to share their own stories and memories. As they worked on the book, Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James became closer than ever before. They had shared an incredible adventure, and they had accomplished something meaningful and important. Eventually, the book was complete, and it was a huge success. The townspeople were fascinated by the story of the abandoned house and the family who had lived there. Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James were interviewed by the local newspaper, and they even received offers to turn their story into a movie. But for Lily, Mr. Jenkins, and James, the real reward was the knowledge that they had solved a mystery and honoured the memory of a family who had been forgotten for too long. They had made new friends, learned new skills, and accomplished something that they could be proud of for the rest of their lives. As they looked back on their adventure, they knew that it was a new beginning for all of them. They had discovered a passion for history, for adventure, and for each other, and they couldn't wait to see what the future held.